at renewable energy, okay, floating solar is basically, it's not rocket science. It's not much different than ground-based solar, with the exception of you're putting it on bodies of water. And what's the benefits of that? That's probably the biggest thing is land usage. You're not taking high costly land. That's how we first got into it with our first project in Florida. Land was costing them $26,000 an acre. Hard to find land. Then you had the land clearing. You had sometimes the leveling of the land. So putting it on the water, you avoid those costs. That's one thing. The other is taking that land if it's agricultural purposes and that. So the big advantage right now with floating is not taking land away from agricultural commercial applications. When you put floating solar on the water, you're reducing the evaporation by up to 50% of the area that's covered. This is really important in areas that are drought-ridden. We've got areas, even in Ohio, we're working now on some reservoirs up there. They've had drought, but out west with the Bureau of Reclamation and those, there's tremendous amounts of evaporation issues. So we can go ahead and reduce that evaporation. So then you look at it in general and say, okay, what other benefits or obstacles are there on the water? The other benefit is we have found that when you put panels, floating panels on the water on a structure, they're more efficient. Average 12%. We're finding in some cases with our design up to 18%. More efficient than a same ground-based system on shore when you put it on the water. Cooling temperature of the water goes ahead and makes these panels more efficient because every panel has a temperature coefficient to it.
It's not really a brute force type solution. It's not just, we need the power, put it anywhere, connect it, and that's going to pay for itself. So you really have to be solving multiple problems when you do this. And there are so many situations where you would probably put a float like this anyway, whether it's to shade, whether it's to connect monitoring equipment. So we look for opportunities where you're solving multiple problems, where you're reducing the amount of chlorine you need to treat drinking water, where you're creating shade to reduce algal growth in a body of water where you really don't want that. So because this is such a new emerging solution, the low-hanging fruit is very plentiful. So in the next few years, we're going to start picking that low-hanging fruit. I think it will take quite a while till we get to the point where things like public opposition or economics start to get in the way. And of course, we've got to battle with different incentives that might come into play through tax credits expiring and things like that. So, all that's in play, but I think because there's so much low-hanging fruit where you're going to be solving 2 and 3 problems at a time, and every problem comes with a different funding source. So there's different funding sources for water and wastewater, for Defense Department needs some of these for resiliency. So with those different problems you're solving with the different funding sources, there's likely to be a pretty good market in the near term. And when that combines with favorable economic conditions and favorable incentives, that's where you really want to be positioned. And I think Ameresco and some of our partners that we work with, like Tom, are going to be in a good place to really take off when this growth really hits. How exactly that's going to go, who knows? But we're interested enough that we definitely want to be at the forefront.
How we addressed it on the wire management system from the panels itself, we have a torsion tube that's elevated. It's basically using pillar bearings, but it's elevated about 10.5 inches above our float system. That's what gives us the ability to go ahead and give us the raise and tracking. So on that torsion tube, all the wiring coming from the panels, okay, is mounted on that torsion tube in a chase, okay, a wire management chase. So it's easy accessible. It's right there, way above the water, never gets in the water. When we get to our center walkways, okay, we should have showed you some pictures, examples. On the center walkways there where your combiner boxes are mounted, okay, they're also above and on the walkway. Then we run it through a wire channel, cable management channel on the walkway. This is, it'd be like on your dock outside. And it comes to our gangways. We have examples that show that the gangways, we did not like the idea, like at the first site was done, floating them on the floats, okay? Thought that could be problematic. So the way our gangway works is it's no different than at a marina where the gangway, as the water level drops down, the gangway's on rollers and follows along on that center thing. So we have what we call the slack in the lines to accommodate for any changes that's anticipated in the water level. So all those cables go right up through the gangway, right underneath the gangway, which is an OSHA-approved gangway with railings on it. And so it makes it nice and clean. You come out on the shore to your inverters. So we've had a lot of issues with companies saying, well, what's going to happen with the wire management? And areas where there were problems with it. So we looked at it, and I think we've got a really good solution on wire management. Although we don't do the wire, the electrical side of it, that's going to be up to Ameresco, but we'll definitely give our input where we think it's needed.
Questions around anchoring and things like that. You can see the concrete blocks all around this. This is a retention pond for bringing the well water before it's passed through the treatment plant for that water district. We couldn't do ground penetrations because it has a liner, so it would penetrate the liner and cause seepage to the bottom. So in this case, we had to use a shore-based concrete ballast anchoring system. And you can see the wire management, which looks kind of like a little wavy bridge off to the right side of the array. So those were some of the key features. You know, we learned a lot of lessons doing this, had a lot of fun. It was a great project. We had the ribbon cutting was, you know, fantastic. Just everybody celebrating the win for them. What's really cool about it is it offsets 90% of the consumption of electrical power to that facility that creates the clean water. So it's a way to kind of take out an asset from that water district and just say, we don't need to worry about the energy there anymore. And that was the right size solution for them. That was the solution that reduced evaporation to, you know, cause another solution, you know, multiple solutions at one time to make it work. So it's just an example of a quality, you know, easy to understand project that we're really proud of.